All right, aloha everybody. Welcome to the Aloha Friday Ask Us Anything show. This is a somewhat of a special show because our normal host Peter K is off visiting family, and so he asked, should we cancel the show or should we continue to do it? And I said, let's just do it, and I will do my best to be Peter K and run the slideshows and do the transitions. And in addition to that, we have some special guests on the show today. Our normal Maui Island representative Heidi is also traveling and couldn't make it. So we have a substitute, but one of my favorite people in the world on Maui, Kara Crimmins, is here with us today. And you'll hear from her in a second. And we'll do some quick intros after we get past the warm up here. And then we always get questions about Kauai. And a lot of times I try and answer those. And some of you guys who have reached out for information or maybe to see property there have been connected with Ronnie, but for the first time we get to have Ronnie Margolis on the show with us, who is a longtime resident and real estate broker on Kauai, and so super stoked to have Ronnie with us too. So let's get started with some quick intros. Let's give the folks some background about you guys, and some personal background, family background, and then your real estate background, and then we'll get rolling in a couple of minutes. So Kara, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, Dylan. It's a pleasure to be here. I have been a resident of Maui for almost 20 years now, and I have my children born and raised here. I've been in real estate for the past 6 years and absolutely enjoying being part of the Maui culture and the agency team with eXp Realty, and having the opportunity to lead the team with a love and aloha and heart. And that's my expertise of being here on the team.
Love it. Stoked to have you. And Ronnie, what about you, man? What's your story?
Born and raised in Philadelphia, and my Philadelphia Phillies are going to the league championship series after kicking the butt of the Atlanta Braves last night. And moved out to California in my 30s, spent a couple of decades in the technology industry as a systems integrator, working with people in the entertainment business, the music business, the film business, the graphics industry, and then moved to Kauai in 2004 with my wife, take on my second career and apply my digital marketing skills to the wonderful craft of real estate. And it's been a beautiful couple of decades so far. Met some beautiful people, connected to the community there, very active with Rotary, District 5000. And of course, we've had tremendous loss, like all the folks on Maui had 4 clubs in Lahaina. And Rotarians from around the world actually have given millions and millions of dollars to the efforts in Maui, which are huge needs, of course, as Kara can attest. And love working with kids, helping kids as well. I run a nonprofit on Kauai called Aloha Angels that funds after school enrichment classes, and love helping people on their real estate journey. Love problem solving. And as you guys know, we have an opportunity to do that.
That's right.
And your real estate expertise is not limited to Kauai, right? You also have a presence in Washington.
I do. Yep. We have 2 kids up in Washington and 1 in Oregon, and we have a team here in Spokane, Washington, close to the Idaho border. So a lot of our agents up here service Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint and some of the resort markets in Idaho as well. And yeah, it's a little bit different medium price point in Spokane versus Kauai.
So if you're looking to move from Spokane to Kauai, we got a one-stop shop that can help you on both ends. So love that. All right, we got some friends. We got some friends coming in and joining us. Auntie Joan says aloha. We got Judy Weber, one of our loyal followers and fans. Thanks for joining us. We also have She Who Laughs, another one that's on every week. Thanks for joining us. And Mark Whitehill from Kaimana Beach. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining us. We are at the 9 o'clock hour, so we will get into the show. Welcome, everybody. Again, this is the Aloha Friday show. And as we always do, we'll get into the agenda, which is the Hawaii news first. We'll get into some market updates from Ronnie and Kara, and then we'll get into your questions. Again, if you guys have any questions that you want us to focus on, we will take your live questions first. We have some that came in over the week that we have loaded up, ready to go, but we will prioritize your questions if you have any. So just put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring that, and if they come in, we'll jump into those. And then we have some featured properties, diamonds, and deals to look at. And then, as we do always, we'll close with our motivational closing thoughts. Got lots more people jumping in here. We got Alex jumping in, Barbara, Bob. We got Auntie Barbara. All right, thanks everybody for coming in. Stoked to see you guys. Happy Friday. All right, so getting into our news for the week. Obviously, there's so much strife around the world. We're seeing that with Israel right now, and the state and most municipalities, I think, are running flags at half staff. Just always a reminder to appreciate the peaceful place that we live in and never take what we have for granted, because it's not like that for a lot of people around the world. So just always keep that as a reminder. This past week, we've seen West Maui reopen to tourism, and Kara's going to give us an update on what that's like on the ground there and her experiences. We have Kilauea rumbling again here on the Big Island, which I don't know if that's news necessarily. It seems like that's always been happening since 1983, that volcano's been rumbling. It's taken a break. I can tell you from the Big Island perspective, it is just, we so don't take for granted when the volcano is not going off, because the sunsets are stunning. Yesterday just stopped. I was in my bedroom, and I'm not really home at that time very often, but I got a second story view of the ocean and the sunset, and it was just like, I stopped and I looked at it and like, man, that's amazing, and it never gets old. But when the fog is there, it's a totally different experience. So when there is no fog and the volcano is sleeping, we definitely appreciate that, because for about 30 years we had fog consistently here on the Big Island. So we do get some reprieve now and then, which we definitely appreciate. And then we will have also a discussion about Maui rents and studios rented for $3,000 a month. That's obviously a big issue on Maui with the lack of housing and the shortage of rentals. And so we'll get into that discussion also. And then, of course, we have the weather forecast, which is the same every single week. I don't know if Peter just does that to mess with you guys, but it's pretty much 80, highs in the 80s and lows in the 70s every single week. So there you go. All right, so getting into let's get into the market update and any hot topics you guys have on your islands. Let's go to Ronnie first, since we've never really had a good solid Kauai market update. What's happening in the Kauai market? We got you. You're muted, Ronnie.
All of our islands, I think of and refer to as the neighbor islands, right? Our three islands, the big city market of Oahu. There goes our Oahu resident.
Yep, there's Ashley. Welcome. Actually, let's take a quick break. Let's introduce. Ashley is traveling in the mainland, but she's doing her best to join us today. So we're hoping that the cell service is strong enough for her to chime in, and we'll do our best. But how's it going, Ashley? Where are you at in the world?
I'm in New Hampshire. I pulled over at a park because I'm between camping locations, and I found a park with pickleball and stuff, and I assumed people were going to be using their Wi-Fi because I did not have reception for I was a little nervous, but I'm here. I'm on a rock.
All right, you got to mute your microphone because that pickleball sound is very loud.
All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's get into the Kauai market update.
So I would say that the market on Kauai continues on kind of an equilibrium of the last few months, and that is low inventory, not very much to choose from. Sales have kind of gone up consistently throughout the first 3 quarters of this year and are kind of at a level plateau. Our total amount of inventory, of course, we are the smallest market in the state, is about 500 properties. It's been kind of vacillating between 490 to 525 max, and that's a combination of everything that's active for sale as well as everything that's under contract or in contingent under contract. And our market is so small, like on the North Shore, there's very little for sale in some parts of the market. You cannot buy a single family home in the resort town of Princeville for under $2 million now. And so when we look and we see that one month there's 8 homes for sale, and then this past month of September, only 4 homes sold, well, it's because there's not a lot for sale. And I would say that's pretty much, I don't imagine it's all that different around the rest of the state. What you will see if you look at the numbers is that there's more of I say more malleability in terms of the price, right? Because some buyers are priced out of the market, and the buyers that are in the market, we want to make sure they know they really have more leverage now than maybe they had a year ago or a year and a half ago. And sometimes you might actually find a motivated seller. Not all of them, of course, but when you do, you can, probably get a very good value. But
I just comment on that. I just shot our my YouTube market update this morning, and that's something I'm definitely feeling in the market here. Is although it's still a very much technically a seller's market based on inventory, sellers are really nervous right now with what's going on in the economy and in the market. That I'm seeing surprisingly offers like accepted with no counter offer, right? No counter offer on price, no counter offer on terms. Like they're taking what they can get, and that may be a flawed perspective if you're looking at it from a real technical standpoint, but there's still so much emotion that goes into the real estate space and the real estate market that I don't know if you guys are, we can touch on that, but I'm definitely feeling that on the seller side. Sellers are nervous and more willing to just accept the offer with concessions than really to stand their ground. Like maybe 6 months ago, they were still stuck on that crazy market we had in the past, and they weren't as willing to concede on terms and price. So.
Well, regardless of the market, in any market, you have those wise sellers who understand that, excuse me, realtors actually know the market. We eat, live, and breathe it 24 hours a day, as opposed to their friends, their neighbors, their cousins who tell them what their property is worth. And you do have people that just draw a conclusion, right? And they say, well, I'm not going to sell it for less than X. And, I always tell people there's a difference between being on the market and being in the market. Because if you want to sell your home, you need to be in the market. If you just want to put it out there and pray, you can go on the market. But that wastes a lot of people's time.
That's a great saying I haven't heard before. Love that. All right, Carol, what about you? What's happening on Maui? What's the market update? And we'll get into other news also.
All right. Well, the market update right now is, unfortunately, the sales price is up. So we're noticing that there's a huge sales price increase of 27.3% in both residential and condo. Condos, no matter where you are on the island, they're averaging in the 800,000s, and residentials are at $1.2 million as an average. So we're kind of combating that sales price and also the lower inventory that we're looking at. We have approximately 104 days on market, which is a huge increase of having things sit. There's not a lot of turnover that we're seeing right now, and we're still having a lot of people looking for homes. However, it's just making that solidified sale. The number of sales and closes and pendings have shortened, and we're definitely looking at the fact that we have a higher day on market, and the price being high and the interest rates is definitely a struggle at this particular point. And we're trying to find more homes at a lower cost so we can get more people into homes quickly from the Lahaina side.
Yeah, that's going to be an ongoing challenge, is just the lack of inventory, and really there's no inventory in the pipeline, right? I mean, what does the horizon look like in terms of new construction or?
So definitely, let's talk about that. So they are looking at, they're just doing construction for a school, which isn't for housing, but it is for a school in the Kapalua airport area, which is fantastic. Also, they're looking at building more low-income housing units that are on the Lahaina side as well. The discussion of rebuild is happening. We're working really hard on getting the Waialuku low-income housing and other housing built. It's apartments that's right here at the base of Waialuku heading into Maui Lani. They're pushing hard to get that done, to get more housing ready for this oncoming market.
And then what are you seeing like in terms of rents? We had on the news update $3,000 for a studio. I mean, that seems rough.
Gaining composure.
Yeah. Yes.
The rent is extraordinary high right now. The studio, that's indicative of what's happening for price increases, not only for rent, but also for the homes at this particular moment. I'm not sure exactly what the mindset is as to why there's this push for a higher rent for the studios, but it is happening. I think I saw the lowest one that I saw is a studio for $1,800 in the Lahaina area, which I'm sure is not even on the market at this exact moment. When I checked this morning, that's a steal of a deal. Most of them are in the $38,000 to $5,000 in specifically the Lahaina area. In other areas on the island, we're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 500. The lows are 573 square feet up to 1,400 square feet at 5,000 and above. It's a challenging rental market right now.
Okay, we'll come back to Maui and after we get past the market update here. So let's jump to Oahu. Ashley, what's happening in the Oahu market?
Oahu market, I think, is pretty similar to the rest of the islands. I do know that our condo prices did increase a little bit from just last year this time, which was a little surprising. Single family homes went back down to $1,050,000 for median sales price. Days on market are up. Despite, to your point, Dylan, yeah, we do see people taking a lot less. I guess they're taking anything that they can get, certainly on their offers. However, we're still seeing negotiations, like on our listings in particular. We're still seeing sellers push back, on some things. They're not giving it all. They're still trying to hold tight on some of their values. So I think it just depends where on the island. And I think it depends on the condition of the home. And like for us, I don't know about you guys, but like we have a lot of topography situations. So if we have properties that are at a strong incline or have had any type of erosion or any type of water damage, they're just unloading for whatever they can get. But if you have anything that's turnkey and is nice and it's in a desired area, they're still standing firm a bit. As far as the inventory, we're down, right? We're down on every island. We're down nationally. It's certainly a concern. A lot of people are don't want to sell because they don't want to get into anything that has a higher rate. So we just focus with our clients on numbers. Does it make sense financially? Do you go bigger and have multi-generational? Do you get rental income on it? Can you build an ADU on it to do some value add? Can you keep the house, rent it out? So now we take this as an opportunity to educate our clients on how to start building a portfolio. Keep the property that they have with a lower interest rate. Now they can rent it out, make some money on it. What can we do to help them do that? Get into something else, because there's still some people out there doing some new development.
Yeah, there's definitely loan programs out there. We've been talking about that recently and educating our team on those options where you can stay. A lot of times people just assume that they must sell their home to buy a new home, when in a lot of cases you can use rental income to offset the debt there, keep that low interest rate, and then use equity potentially to put down payment money on a future home. So you still can upgrade or downsize based on your current situation. You don't necessarily have to sell. But again, that also creates constraint in inventory because we don't have that home that maybe would be going on the market for somebody else to purchase coming on the market. So,
well, we see a lot more people tapping into the USDA loan product again, because that kind of phased out for like 8 years or so. I didn't see anyone using it, and now we're starting to see people tap into it again.
Yeah, that's a positive, I think, given the market shift, is that you see these low or zero down payment programs coming back in and allowing a homeowner that normally would be totally priced out, or the competition was holding them out from getting any opportunity to, now they're getting back in with VA loans and things like that. So there's always a silver lining in whatever's happening in the market. So Big Island market, if everybody's going to, I'll just be real quick on this. It's a kind of a broken record. I mean, we are at like 1,800 active listings on the island, which is always it's about half of what historical averages were. So we're still extremely low inventory. That number is not rising. We did see a dip in the number of homes that sold last month versus the month before, and so that's kind of been erratic. It's been like a little over 400, little under 400, little over 400, little under 400. So that's kind of been going all over the place. But again, historical averages, about 5,000 properties a year sell. So that's what you need to be at, is around 400 a month in order to get to 5,000. So not anything out of the extreme ordinary, but as long as we are keeping on pace to do that normal 400 or so properties a month, if we only have 1,800 properties on the market, that's what's continuing to drive prices up. So if you look at median price in all three, really the land median price is way up, but in the condo and home market, we're at almost exactly even from where we were a year ago. So prices are not falling. Prices are kind of staying exactly where they were, almost flat from a year ago, because that inventory is continuing to hold prices up because inventory is so low. So that's a good kind of quick roundup of the state. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll get to them. If you have any specific questions about a market or an area of the island or whatever you want to ask about, we'll jump to it. I'm doing my best to multitask here. I'm not as smart as Peter, right? So there's like chats going on over here, slides going on over here, plus like managing this discussion. So this is give me some grace here. We're doing our best, but so far so good. I think we haven't messed it up too bad yet. Peter should be happy. So all right, I wanted to go back to Maui and talk about this reopening and what are some of the dynamics you're seeing, Kara, on the ground there. You know, I do know from just talking to you and friends there, I mean, there's a real need for people to come back. I mean, it's tragic to see like how many businesses are laying people off and closing down, and I'm even seeing businesses move to the Big Island because there's no chance of any reopening anytime in the future there, especially if you had a business in Lahaina. So art galleries and other tour companies and stuff like that are relocating. So it's a dynamic time right now. The West Side officially opened back up. Kind of what are you seeing and feeling on the ground over there?
That's multi-dimensional conversation piece right there. But yes, since the wildfires, people have been having struggles trying to find home and place and their businesses reestablished. So there's a lot of volatility still. Right now, after having the main issue, the white elephant in the room is the fact that it has been opened by Governor Bisson. We do have the channel of people able to come, but people are coming in, new visitors are coming in, but they're going past the burn zone and heading up into Kapalua. Now, this is where most of the people that were displaced during the fire have been housed. So we're finding some discord among other areas regarding the housing of the people that are there, the locals that are trying to heal, trying to find their way, and then also having the people come in and be visitors. What I've seen is boots on the ground is that even though there's a concern of having a mix, there's actually aloha being found. There's more people coming in with the heart of not just being a tourist, but coming in with care and reverence, thank goodness. And I think that this will start a shift of easing some of the hearts and the minds of how is this going to feel when people are merged together? How is it going to feel when visitors are coming to the island that is much needed? We need the people here. And it's going to start blending, I pray, to be a little bit more of a cohesive blend, and the economy is going to bounce back. There was a really big rally to push against not having it open. However, I think that having it open and having that window of opportunity and feeling their way through it is calming the waters per se a bit. So I hope that answers the question about that aspect. We do desperately need more people to come in, but again, coming in with the right reverence and the sensitivity of what's happening. No, you cannot go down into the affected zone. That is still only for the people that are there, that are direct passes only. It is not open for people to come and view and visit and get involved in that area. Bypass and enjoy, please, at this moment.
That's an important reminder. Yep. I mean, Maui's open for tourism, but Lahaina is not. So just be respectful of that. And yeah, it's pretty clear. So,
and the rest of the island desperately needs you too. So the whole island is affected by the need of tourism. So even if you're in the Lahaina area and you're in Kapalua, remember to come to Kihei and Waialuku and Kahului. All businesses that were affected are affected globally speaking. Being in a small island, everybody's affected. It's not just that one particular segmented area. As a matter of fact, I've had a direct family that I've worked with for over 6 years that had to move off island and close their business because of the level of devastation that happened and no one coming to island. And no, they were not a direct victim of the fire itself, but they were a residual byproduct of that. So we desperately need more people to come. Respectfully.
Yes. Perfect reminder. What about Ashley and Ronnie? Are you guys seeing anybody relocate, or I mean, what are you seeing in your markets? Any effect from residual effect from what happened on Maui?
I
There you go.
have
Now you're
not.
off mute.
I've heard of few people, but no kind of major influx. And to be quite honest, as sad as it is, you can't find housing on Kauai. It's kind of
Yeah,
like where would they go, and if they could go somewhere, what could they afford? So I don't know if it is true in the big city, in Honolulu, but certainly, the state has a housing shortage, and even though the state and the counties own most of the land, they don't seem to be very resourceful about how to turn that into housing. So no, I have not seen a lot
that's
in terms of that, but certainly I'm sure what I have seen, and it's kind of interesting because I've had people reach out from around the world. My neighbor who moved to Florida 7 years ago said, "Hey, I have a heavy heart. Where can I give money?"
mm-hmm.
And I forwarded him to our Rotary's District Foundation, and he, sent me a picture with $1,000 check that he gave. So people want to help out from all over the place, and it's on people's minds to help. And I think that it's interesting because I'll see places around the island where it's like, come bring your canned foods, and they're collecting all this stuff to ship over. And I'm like, that's expensive. That's not cost effective to like take your, flashlights and stuff and then pay for a big container. Might as well just give it to organizations over there. But,
Right.
people want to help in any way they can. And I'm sure it's all appreciated.
That's definitely been the silver lining, is the outpouring. We just came back from our national conference, and I got to thank on behalf of the state, the agents in our company, because I think we've all collectively felt that there was a huge outpouring of support from people that hadn't really no connection to Hawaii, but that's definitely there's a lot of law for Maui, and it continues, so that's awesome. Anything to add to that, Ashley?
No, honestly, on Oahu, I think the affordability for housing in a lot of those situations, it's hard, it's challenging. I've had realtors from Maui interact on some of our listings because they're looking to buy over here potentially, and by the end of the year, just because they've been impacted with the housing market there. I just know of a lot of people that are housing friends and families, but as far as like an influx over rentals or house, no, not at least personally. Not to digress off the topic though, do want to, because you just reminded me of the event at EXP where you did thank everyone. Let's give Dylan a applause because he spoke at EXPCon. And he was awesome, and it was so great to see. And he got to spread aloha in the room, and just proud of you, Dylan, and you did a great job.
It's an honor to get to represent Hawaii for sure. Yes, it was a great time, and it was Vegas, so it's always a good time in Vegas. So, all right, if you guys have any questions, folks in the audience, put them in the chat. We'll get to them. I got our first question here. Let me change this up so you can see it. We'll jump to the first question here. This is a question we get all the time, and I'm sure everybody on today has some knowledge to share on this, is info on illegal property improvements. And illegal is a loaded term, right? I always go back to there's unpermitted. Illegal sounds, depending on the way you interpret that, sounds harsh. And so this happens very, very commonly all over the islands. And if you are interested in a property and you see that there are some type of improvements that were not permitted, what are some things that, or how, what can a buyer do to find out more information on that? And what are some maybe red flags that they need to consider? So I'm just going to go down the list here. Ronnie, you up first. What do you think on this? What are your thoughts? What are some resources that you can go to get more information?
Well, I think the main thing for buyers to understand is kind of the general culture, and it may proliferate throughout the island, or each county may be different. The guys in your county might prefer Malasadas. The guys down at our planning department prefer Patron. That being said, people often don't understand our wastewater situation. So, you go to the Department of Health, you see what they have on file. whether it's wastewater or planning or building. There's a whole lot of stuff that was lost in the last hurricane, right? It's now 31 years ago, Hurricane Iniki. And, you know, if those records got flooded, it's like they don't have any. So the best you can do is you do your due diligence. It's our job to just, you know, kind of be the source of the source, right? Not the source. And here's the information. And then the buyer needs to make an educated decision. Sometimes there are things that were just oversights. You know, they got the wastewater system permitted, but they never got the final inspection. Now the property goes in escrow. The buyer wants it inspected. You got to kind of back do the inspection. Same thing, you know, a lot of times there are improvements that were quote unquote legal, but they didn't complete the permitting process. And then they got to go and do an as-built and make sure it's that way. But, you know, the thing that's always been an anomaly to me is if I were a betting man, I would say that a very high percentage of the people that work for the county have illegal improvements in their properties. And, you know, the counties, they kind of vacillate, you know, in terms of what's important to them. Like on our island of Kauai, the low-hanging fruit for, you know, since I've been there, it's like almost 20 years now, are illegal vacation rentals, transient vacation rentals, right? And Kauai has kind of the most defined rules of all of our islands. And they don't really, you know, police much else unless someone whistleblowes. And then, you know, there's a situation that has to be dealt with. So, you know,
that's definitely the case here on the Big Island, right? Is I always tell folks that very rarely do you see anybody ever enforce any type of building code. But if your neighbor, if you get into a fight with your neighbor and your neighbor knows you had unpermitted space and they turn you in, then the county has an obligation to check on your property. So it's really on a very slim case-by-case basis. But in general, there's very little enforcement of the permitting and building code.
That's right.
And we like the word non-conforming improvements.
Yes.
It's a little more gentle than illegal.
And that's an important reason why you want to talk to a informed professional, is we kind of know the nuanced different terminologies of what people mean and how they present this. So what about Maui, Kara? What's the culture on unpermitted space on Maui?
That's exactly what I was going to say to you, is speaking to a person who actually knows those nuances, because again, it isn't just an illegal necessarily, it is an unpermitted. So Ken, in the comments, he asked, how could you even know if an improvement is permitted? So by contacting us as realtors or going to the county, which is public site for whatever county you're in, you can go to the county site and you can pull up the permits for each individual property by putting in the address and taking a look and see what it is that was put in. One of the things that Ronnie said is the same thing that's affected here. Say, for instance, you're putting in a new wall or you're doing plumbing or electric. They're all built into different categories of what it is that's permitted. That may or may not have been filed, yes, or may not have been completed even if it was filed. So when you're in looking at the county sites and you're pulling all the records, you have to do your due diligence to dig to make sure that it is called completed and it's not left open. And what we see here on Maui is that depending on what region of the island you're on, you're going to have a higher influx of non-permitted ohanas or other building aspects that are in maybe haiku, paia, hana, where people aren't necessarily looking at the HOA regimens that you go through in maybe say the Lahaina side or in Kihei or in Wailuku or Kahului. And it is our job as realtors, as well as yours as the buyers, to take a look into the county records to really dive in there and see what has been permitted or not. But as Ronnie said as well, if you make your neighbors mad, that's when the red flags come up, most likely. But yeah,
especially in this environment, right? The last thing the county is going to be doing in this environment, especially like on Maui, is going and shutting down an ohana that maybe is not permitted, or finished downstairs is not permitted, and kicking a family out. I mean, that's like imagine the backlash if the county starts doing that. So yeah.
We need every piece of housing that we can right now, not advocating going crazy, but definitely make sure that is, do what you can to get everything done and keep your neighbors happy.
And then so shifting to Oahu, Oahu is always an interesting animal to me because, I mean, they face the same problems, but then you have these, we don't really have this in the neighbor islands. You have these monster house issues, right? Where people get them permitted, but they're like insane 12 bedrooms and 12 bath homes. And people almost call them illegal based on the zoning, even though they are conforming and, you know, they go through the permitting process. So what's the dynamics over on Oahu, Ashley?
Yeah, I think that it's heavily based off of people's comfort levels. And you guys touch on a lot of it, like how to search for the violations, go to Realtor or go to, for us, it's honoluludpp.com. And then you property search and you look under to see if there's an open violation. You can see if there's permits. I think that it, depending on where on the island, but also the type of property. So you don't see too much unpermitted work on high-end homes and luxury homes. But you, not to say it never, but just not as often. And again, you see on the more affordable houses, a lot of unpermitted work because people are trying to get by and they often need to, you know, provide more square footage for their family or bedrooms and or rental income capacity. It's something that I think a lot of people are, when they're coming to Hawaii, it's sort of odd for them is that, will it appraise? So anybody who's looking for unpermitted work, I think the question is that square footage, was it added? Was it a bedroom? Was it a bathroom? What was the work? And will it appraise? And the answer is, it depends on who you get. Because I have had 2 listings right down the street from each other. I had one with a little ohana that was attached and it was a little studio and they would not give the appraised value for it. And then I had another one, same neighborhood.
Okay, I think we lost Ashley for a second.
Sorry about
go
that.
ahead.
Same time, and the entire downstairs is unpermitted, about 1,500 square feet, and it was 3 bedrooms and 2 wet bars, and they, you know, gave the value for that square footage. So that's another question. Something else to consider is even if they do appraise the property with that unpermitted work, which is super common. I mean, every property I own pretty much has unpermitted work, to be honest. And that's my comfort level, is the fact that insurance might not cover the unpermitted work. So if there was a fire or some type of issue or flood, they might investigate that further. And then lastly, when you're looking for something, if it's unpermitted in condos, townhouses, or strict HOAs, there can be backlash within the HOA, not just city and county. And so there's a different accountability there. So different things to look out for, but get a good realtor who understands unpermitted work, who's comfortable with it. Because if you are with some agents who are not comfortable with it, they might not be able to advise based off of your comfort level.
And at the end of the day, a competent listing agent and a competent buyer's agent is gonna, this is part of our process, right? So before we even take a listing, we're gonna do this research and we're gonna find out what the current situation is, because we want to properly represent the property and properly value the property based on what is permitted and what's not permitted. So there shouldn't necessarily be, I mean, this is a perfect world here, right? But you shouldn't necessarily be surprised. I mean, you should go in eyes wide open if you're working with professionals, but that's the big if, right? Is if the folks that you're talking to, one, the listing agent has done their due diligence before even putting the property in the market, and then the buyer's agent then double checks and verifies that, you know, what is being represented is actually true. So there's two parts of that you should be protected from, but it's never a perfect system, but you definitely want to have somebody that knows where to look and what they're looking for. So
one more thing to add too is you can get a permit package. So in a lot of our listings, or when we're representing the buyers, if that's even up for question, or if we know we have someone who's worried about that, we just order a permit package. It's $130. It takes 10 business days usually to get, and it's part of your due diligence.
That's,
that's a big
Carol.
city. That's a big city thing. I don't think.
We don't do that on a big island. We got to go through dig through Manila. We got to dig through Manila folders and like stone tablets and stuff.
When you go down to the planning department on Kauai, they take out the tax maps and you see little Post-it notes. There's Post-it notes, you know, about violations.
I started 13 years ago, we'd have to put the, you know, those like binocular things as a kid. They were red, and you put them on. You put the slider in, and then you did the thing. That's what we would do on the big machine at city and county. And then we would have to look, and then we'd be like, okay, we want a picture of that one and that one. But now, I mean, are you sure? I thought it was all islands. You can get a permit package.
I've never heard of it. I don't think so.
Oh,
well, the thing, you know, one thing I wanted to say is that it is a complex area, and you know, you might go to a seller who bought a farm, in Kilauea 20 years ago, and they never even dealt with that stuff 20 years ago. They don't have a clue, what may or may not be permitted. So it's really like a whole, archaeological, excavation to, kind of track it back. And like I said on Kauai, if the records were lost in a hurricane, you're kind of on your own.
You're out of luck, yeah. Carol, you had something to add too.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the fact that one of the things that really lives and breathes is when we have a buyer that's looking to buy and we don't have the permits that are in line for anything. It could be building, plumbing, electric, whatever, no HANAs, whatever. And they're thinking about doing any renos. It's our due diligence to make sure that we tell them, hey, you have to look at the potential of getting an after the fact permit. And thank goodness some of these aren't that expensive. And some are, but most aren't. So if they have to look at what the cost is of doing an after the fact permit, if they know for a fact that they're going to be doing some renovation, because otherwise, that's something that they didn't even bring into consideration. So that's another cost of the whole buying aspect. So.
Yeah. And to your point, Cara, the after the fact permit is 3 times the original permit cost. Plus you need to get plans drafted, plus possibly an ESTP certification. There's a few things that you might have to incur, and it takes 4 to 6 months sometimes.
And it does. I was just going to say, and it takes a really long time, and it might actually go over the number of the water counts, depending on how many water fixtures that you have. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle of why you need us to kind of help weed through all of that, right?
So related
and I don't know about you guys on Oahu, real fast. If you have a cesspool, something to consider. If you know that is unpermitted work and you want to do any other upgrades or alterations, that's something that you have to bake into your price negotiations, that you'll have to upgrade that cesspool to a septic in order to do any new work in addition to back permitting. But honestly, you just bake it into the price.
Yeah.
That's one way they're forcing people to upgrade is if you're going to get new additions, you're going to have to upgrade your wastewater. So definitely be prepared for that.
And the piping size and all that. Yep.
All right. So Heidi from the Big Island is asking, this is related to this. And I think we all have our separate thoughts on this, is they need help with remodeling and they can't get a reliable licensed contractor to do any work. And I think we all probably hear this often. My initial take on this, and then we'll open it up for discussion here, is you get what you pay for. And a lot of times people, reliable doesn't correlate with cheap, right? And so that's a lot of times what we see here on the Big Island is contractors are very busy. They can really pick and choose what jobs they take on. And if you want the reasonable bargain rate contractor, you're probably going to get bargain rate service. And that's just one of the issues that we have to deal with, is that you're going to pay a premium if you're going to get a reliable, good contractor. And it's just something to be prepared for if you're looking to do renovations or additions and things like that. So let's start with Ashley. Ashley, what are your thoughts on this? You do a lot of renovations, a lot of flipping and stuff. What's your kind of go-to for finding reliable contractors?
So contractors, I can find good contractors. It's getting them to give bids when we're under contract and such, because they just driving around the whole island and not getting the jobs or giving the bids, and then they don't buy the house, so they get a little burnt out. So we have to go through kind of a lot of contractors on that front. As far as like for my sphere that does a lot of house renovations and flipping and such, they kind of have their one good contractor they use and give volume to. And I don't refer those out to other people. So all my investors have their own contractors, because they get overloaded and they start moving funds around. However, I will say there are some good ones. My other half, he's actually a great licensed contractor here in Oahu, and he takes on high-end and commercial projects. So that's been a godsend, because it was really challenging before. How the subcontractors, however, the electricians and the plumbers, it is all of the contractors' demise, and myself still. I feel like I'm changing my vendor list like every other week. They will be so on it and they're so great, and then all of a sudden they get like too many jobs, and then you don't hear from them for 3 years. And good architects are hard to find as well. So we just continue building our sphere and continue building the connections and work off of, again, that volume, so that they don't want to disappoint, because then they won't get business from other people that they've been working with. That's sort of been the strategy. But plumbers and electricians, man, those have been hard.
All right, no secret sauce there. What about you, Kara? What do you think?
Can I just say ditto? Ditto. Ditto. Ditto.
Yeah.
Literally, we're dealing with the exact same thing. I have great contractors. I have great handymen. I have great people that I have seen their quality of work. However, when you give them too much, then they tap out and they don't necessarily communicate that they're tapped out. And then, yeah, exactly ditto. Sorry, nothing else to add. That is the exact same issue that we have over here. So like she said as well, is always be building relationships and always be looking. So if there's anybody out there that's a tradesman that really needs to have some good work, please let me know. We're always looking to bend some good relationships.
You want to get the
I do
latest
have a
and
good
greatest
electrician
connections that we have.
Yeah.
I do have a great connection now for electrician. Now I'm just plumber.
What's the
you pay for it.
contractor? Yes, you pay for it. Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
Like you said, Dylan, like you got to pay the price if you want people to show up. And I think that's, you know what, there's great contractors, plumbers, electricians. People don't want to pay for it, to your point.
Yeah, totally. What about on Kauai? Ronnie, what's your thought on contractors?
I think it's double ditto. You've got the smallest population. The main building on the island of Kauai is done in a luxury subdivision called Kukui'ula that started out in 2006. And, superstars like Drew Brees, the retired quarterback from the Saints, and very wealthy people, I think Tom Brady, are building homes there. They've got all the top talent. And then there's this fellow that lives up on the North Shore. His name is Mark Zuckerberg. And when you have that, Kauai, I don't know how they get these numbers, but Kauai has 38 billionaires. And, a billionaire can afford to pay your electrician a little bit more than probably most of your clients. So you put that all together and, it's, like I said, it's the similar challenge that both Ashley and Kara alluded to on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a common issue. Our best advice probably is just check with us and see who our real-time latest and greatest recommendations are, because it can change over time. And maybe somebody we gave you 6 months ago, a year ago, may not be in the same standing. But I mean, this is a challenge. There's no silver bullet to this, and that's the bigger issue I see sometimes is you get better service from the larger organizations, right? If you go to a large contracting firm, they have management, they have scheduling, they have engineers that project stuff out, and of course you're going to pay a premium because you're going to a large organization. It's when you go to that onesie twosie, just individual licensed electrician or individual licensed plumber, they're managing their schedule, they're managing their books, they're figuring out their next project, they're doing permitting. I mean, it's really hard to get reliable. They don't have a system behind them, right? So that's something to think about and consider when you're choosing who to work with. Is it a large professional organization, or is it an individual that's kind of doing everything on their own? The skill level may be the same, but the service can be dramatically different. So, all right, we are coming up on about 15 minutes, so we are going to transition into our Diamonds and Deals segment. I don't think, Ashley, did you get a chance to update it? You didn't, but is there anything that you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about this one, right? All right, let me show it.
Yeah, that's
so Ashley's. Oh, not that one. This one.
Yeah, that's
there we go. See, there we go. I can do this. I can do this slide thing.
You did.
There we go.
So this is an off-market property. It's in Mililani. So Mililani is the center of Oahu. It's known for its subdivision-like community. So you've got a lot of family-friendly activities, so to speak. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's on a good-sized lot for Oahu. 10,000 square feet is considered large for our island. Yes.
And large for Mililani.
It is large. Mililani is kind of known because it's got those 0 lot lines and it's a pre-developed area. So you have a lot of 3,800 square feet to 5,500 square foot lots. So 10,000 square feet is great. And it's got an open deck lanai. It's single level home. So it's really nice. And then it's only $1,050,000. And the owners who do this, they're actually going to be on a TV show. They're doing like the House Flippers, but for Hawaii, and it's national. And so that's the owners of this property. And so they like to sell their properties off market first and foremost, but they do a phenomenal design and renovation. They even bring a designer in, and they bring in types of wallpapers and all kinds of cool materials. So this house is really nice.
Yeah, for $1 million in Mililani is pretty fair, right? I mean, that's the going rate pretty much, and it's as close to suburbia as possible in Hawaii. I think I love Mililani. I mean, Mililani's nice. They got like community centers and pools all over the place and shopping centers, and so if you like that suburbia lifestyle, Mililani's perfect.
Yeah, 20 minutes to North Shore beaches, 20-30 minutes to town. It's a good central spot. It's by Schofield Barracks.
And it's the highest kind of elevation you can live on Oahu too, right? So it's relatively
So if you're scared
cool.
of tsunamis or anything like that, you're good in Mililani.
But relatively cool versus living on, in town or in a beach where you're near the shoreline.
Yeah, 5
All
to
right,
8
cool.
degrees cooler, typically in the winter, especially.
All right, so this is mine. This is a home in Komohana Kai, and I just focused on the view, right? Talk about $1 million view for 115. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Beautiful. It's an older neighborhood that was the kind of upscale neighborhood 40 years ago. So before they started building more upscale neighborhood, this was like the OG upscale neighborhood, right? Like 5 minutes outside of downtown Kailua Kona, but just huge sweeping view of the coastline. Big open, high ceilings, beautiful. Pretty good deal if you want that kind of view and that kind of location in a nice neighborhood for 1.15 million. And my brother actually has this listed, so I'm partial to this, so I'm a little bit biased in full disclosure. So go check it out. It's actually they're doing open houses all weekend. If you're here on the Big Island, or if you want a video tour, we can get that to you. So that's mine. And then, all right, this is Kara's over on Maui.
All right.
There you go.
So this one, I was just on mute. Sorry. So this is a new listing in Kamoa Views. It's a condo right there in Kihei. If anybody is a surfer that loves Cove Park, this is right up the street and a little kind of dead end, quiet neighborhood town. And it's walking distance right down to the beach and all the Cove Park and the shopping down to the right. This is so cute. She's done great upgrades inside, and it is a studio 1-bedroom feel because there is an area that you can partition off of the bedroom. You can see right there, ocean view, quiet. It is so nice to sit on that lanai and listen to the birds chirping and have your own little piece of silence and paradise, as you will. We're an open house today for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 12 to 4. If anybody wants to come see it directly, it is fresh on the market.
Can you short-term vacation rent that, or is that a residential unit?
It is for residential only. It does have a pool, and it's not short-term vacation rental on this particular unit. There is another one coming up in Kihei Villages that is short-term rental. That is that's Kihei Villages is long-term rental as well. That one's coming up as well. No short-term rentals right now.
What's the difference in price point? If you had a comparable unit like this, 600 square feet, 1-bedroom, 1-bath, that's short-term versus residential.
Mostly the short terms are going to be at the higher price point because they're more in demand, and the residentials are generally lower. We're looking at a spread right now. All condos in the Maui area are at an average of $800,000 and above for short-term rental. So long-term is at the $800,000 mark and in the 6 to 8, and above for short-term rental is 8 to about $1 million, depending on where you are in the Lahaina side and also in the Kihei side. So it's about $100,000 to $150,000 difference.
How about HOAs? You know that off the top of your head?
HOA for this particular one, this is $572, and that's
pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
pretty reasonable. Okay, nice. All right, hit Kara up if you guys have any questions about that one.
You got it.
All right, and then Ronnie, what do we got here? Jungle home. Oh, you're still muted.
That's good. You didn't hear me clearing my throat. I gotta be fast on the mute button. This is in a town called Wainiha. Once you pass Princeville and you go through Hanalei, all the way to the end of the road is a town called Haena, and this is just before it. So it takes a certain kind of buyer that knows this part of the island. It's extremely verdant, as you can see, lots of rain, and it's 3 levels. The downstairs level is basically a 1-bedroom apartment, And the second and top level are a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, completely remodeled. You can see a picture there of the spiral staircase and the cherry floors. When you're sitting out on that covered lanai there on that second picture on the right, or the top picture, it's hard to describe. You sort of have to be there. When you're in these mountains on Kauai, as the sun moves throughout the day, it's like a different Maxville Parish painting, you know, every 15 minutes. So it's very quiet. Graham Nash, you know, his original home on Kauai was next door on one side, and on the other side is a 1,000+ acre conservation rural area. So very quiet, very private, yet 10 minutes to Hanalei, you know, 3 or 4 minutes to Ke'e Beach, to tunnels, to hiking the Nepali coast. So if you want when I was talking with the seller about our description, it's like, if you want to be in the tourist area, don't come to this house. If you want to be in the authentic Hawaii, this is the place for you. And you have the grounds and the fruit trees and just the ambience.
Did you say how much land comes with this?
It's a little over half an acre.
Okay.
Yeah. A little half an acre, and I'm excited. You know, the price of the properties we looked at here between us, this is the highest price, but the closest comp is a much smaller home on half the size lot, and it doesn't have a separate rental, and it's listed at 1.8. So I think we're providing a lot of value for people that want to be on the north side, have this privacy, and you know, even just for income, it's currently generating $9,000 a month in rental income.
Wow, that's great. Love it. Awesome. All right, so moving into our last segment here, our closing thoughts. If you have a closing thought and you're watching, go ahead and put them in the chats, and we'll mention them. And if not, we'll jump in and see who's first. Ashley, what you got for us?
Goal setting is the secret to a compelling future. This is good old Tony Robbins quote. I'm big on goal setting. I have them on my bathroom mirrors. I have them on my car mirrors. I have them everywhere. I just love goal setting. I think that if you don't know where you're going, how do you get there?
Pretty basic, right?
So if you're looking to move to Hawaii, write it down, make it a goal, and give someone a call.
Yeah, that's been a big push for us lately, is doing first-time home buyer workshops. And sometimes people just never even had it in their goal to be a home owner until they actually take some action and write it down. And then amazingly, it happens very quickly. So yeah, love it. All right, Carol, what you got for us? You're muted.
There, am I here?
Yes, there you go.
All right. I don't know. I said muted, and I said, okay. I said I was all about mindset. I'm all about mindset, just like you. And I have to say that no matter what we're faced with in life, it's how we show up to every event, every minute of every second of every day. So when you cannot find the sunshine, be the sunshine. That's the way I feel. And I hope that gives you a little sunshine for your day.
I love that. Absolutely. Right. Whatever's going on in life, whether it's at work or your family or whatever it is, if something's not right, you can be the one to fix it, right? You can be the one to bring in the light. You can be the one to bring in the positivity. We completely are responsible for what's going on around us. So be the sunshine. Love that. From the Sunshine Girl.
Sunshine Girl.
All right, Ronnie.
Yes, a little bit more philosophical here. You learn more from failure than from success. And I love the thought of dealing with life, you know, rather than saying, well, what's happening to me? What's happening for me? What's happening? And, you know, think about your last experience in business. You know, what can I learn from it? You know, Gary Keller, who, you know, wrote a great book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's kind of like the Bible for a lot of people in our profession. Always talked about, if you want to get ahead, you just need to fail faster.
Yes.
And so,
amen to that.
Yeah. There's as you guys know, I love jujitsu, and it's like my hobby and addiction outside of work. And there's a saying which just embodies this, and your time on the mats is you either win or you learn, right? There's no losing. You either win or you learn, and you definitely learn more from when you are in a learning position rather than a winning position. So love that.
Well, that's true in pickleball as well, actually.
This pickleball thing is like
and
taking.
this is where the Wi-Fi is, but I am going to play after this.
I still
No,
have
I-
never played. I got to get out there and start playing some pickleball, I guess. Dylan,
to
I
go
don't
get
know
someone
about you,
to-
bro, but we got to go do it. Let's do it.
Come on, guys.
I've
Just
been
hit
getting
it.
lots
Just
of.
once.
I'm getting a lot of signs about this pickleball thing hitting me from all kinds of different
Oh my
angles. So.
gosh. It's a new
And
grade.
I do want to shout out Auntie Joan that she said Peter would be proud of me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I guess now anytime Peter's missing, I'm going to be on the hook to hijack the show and bring in my random friends to do the show with me. So you guys got it. So appreciate that. All right, and then so my closing thought is I heard this at the conference we were at is don't base your future ambition off of your past experience, and I just think that's so important that. A lot of times we frame what our future goals are based on what our parents achieved or what maybe we achieved in the past or what we see our community achieve. And we really have to separate what it is that that limits our mindset from the past into what we want to achieve in the future. And I just definitely love that idea of not basing your future ambition off of your past experience. So, all right, we are like getting done right on time. So, man, this is like a solid crew right here. The solid crew that filled in, and Peter will be very happy at our performance, I'm sure. So with that, any final thoughts you guys you want to add in? Anything we missed today before we say aloha and head off to the weekend?
Just want to give a shout out to you, Dylan, as a fantastic, fearless leader. You lead from the front of the pack, and you give us all the hope to be able to be the best people that we can be and do the very best that we can for our families, for our friends, and for our own individual selves. You are a leader extraordinaire, and I'm so proud and honored to be part of your team. So, Peter, he's the man. Everybody watching, he's the man. We're all so proud to be part of you. Good job.
You're the best. You're the best. That definitely we can end with that then. All right, so let's go around the horn and start with Ashley. Let's wish everybody a happy weekend and say aloha.
Ditto to what Kara said. Have a good weekend, everyone. Aloha.
Travel safe, Ashley.
Hooey ho.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for joining us, Ronnie. Yes, thanks for joining us, Kara. Look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Everybody have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Aloha.
Got it. Aloha.